In this package that looks a little bit like lifeboat rations, we have another fascinating Aliexpress graphics card specimen. But before we start probing our specimen, a word from today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Corsair and their fancy Dominator Platinum DDR5 in white. Now, aside from the obvious hella epine that comes with these Domplat kits, they also perform very well. You can get 32 gig kits in up to 6200 MHz speeds in the white version. And that performance combined with their 12 ultra bright Capellex RGB LEDs make these a great option for any high-end gaming system. Check out the Corsair Domplats in white using the link in the description below. Thank you Corsair for sponsoring today's video. Now, I've not exactly had to open lifeboat rations before, so I'm not sure how this works, but I'm assuming by this line of tape here that I should just cut along that? Whoa! Unboxing Aliexpress stuff is always such a surreal experience that kind of feels like unboxing a harvested organ you bought off the internet. Hey, getting right to the good stuff back here. Let's turn it around. Whoa. First thing, there is a little bit of damage on the rear I/O shield, which I don't know how they managed considering how well protected the graphics card was in shipping. Although I think I may have spotted the problem. It doesn't actually line up with the screw hole that's used to secure it above the HDMI slot. That's also a real interesting looking HDMI port. That's so janky, I love it. Although, putting aside the I/O shield that was clearly found in a bin, and the fact that the graphics card seems to be exuding a film of sticky protective cheese. Basically, the entire graphics card is made of metal. This entire shroud is metal, the back plate is metal, and so is the front here. And look at that! I've not seen that on a graphics card in a while. We have dual 8 pins on the front of the GPU, not on the top here. And I like that. I actually think in a lot of cases, this may be quite a smart place to have your power connectors because you can more easily cable manage it. Although that does very much depend on your case. That is a solid heatsink we have under there. We have our 2 fans with the very off-center sticker on them. Oh, so the rattle was caused by the end of a screw. Yeah, I'm not really sure where the rest of the screw is, and hopefully it wasn't holding down anything important because, well, that thing's not being held down anymore. And then as you can tell from the other sticker, this graphics card hewn of steel is an RX 5700 XT. Actually, its build quality kind of reminds me of the reference 5700 XT. Just give me a second, let's have a look. This is a reference 5700 XT that I used for a while in my main system, and I think even with its dent, it's quite a good looking graphics card. It's also all metal, the shroud and on the back plate. Although this is clearly higher production value metal than on the Aliexpress card. You've got this kind of texture on the backplate, and I think even this Radeon logo lights up. Having said that, I kind of remember this reference cooler howling like a banshee with its tail caught in a door. So the Aliexpress cooler may give us better temperatures and noise, but we'll compare them soon enough. First, I just want to kind of wipe the cheese off of the Aliexpress card and then do a quick teardown so that we see what's going on under that metal cooler. Okay, it does smell a bit like a distillery now, but at least it doesn't feel like it's got a thyroid problem anymore, so that's good. It is now the future, and I've tested this card, which makes me even more excited to have a look at what's going on underneath here. I'm not sure what the HT on the screw sticker means. I'm just gonna assume it says hurry, try. Yeah, I really like this. All the screws on the back are the same, so you don't have to worry about sticking it in the wrong hole. It really was just 7 screws, okay. Oh no, it's my least favorite thing in the world, fan clip. This is one of those that inevitably break every time you undo them, or at least every time I undo them. Whoa! Again, I'm very glad that all these screws are the same. Oh, that's actually worked this time. That's good. Okay, clearly that's the way to do it. Wow, that is the bottom of a relatively basic heatsink, but it looks fine to me. Although there is some solder splatter around the heat pipes where they attach them to the fin array, which I've not really seen that on a heatsink before. Moving on to the PCB, clearly the thyroid problem extends to the PCB because there is quite a lot of sweating around the memory modules. With the 5700 XT, there are components on this PCB, like this one here is definitely one of them. I think that one as well. The cooler on the reference PCB actually has pads that make contact with these, so I'm not sure if it's a problem that these are just open air. It could be that they're made contact with because it's a blower style cooler, and that this kind of like more open air cooler design just blows enough air on it for it to be fine. And here is our GPU die that clearly isn't from a GTS 450, so that's very good. I love how there are pinouts for external power facing down on the PCB. It's good that they didn't put them here as opposed to on top. Yeah, I don't know, that's just the back of a graphics card. It seems perfectly reasonable. So now I am going to reassemble this card, but we're gonna jump back into the past and have a look at if this graphics card actually fires up and what kind of gaming we can do with it. So now we finally get to see if we have to go through the driver install process equivalent of trying to summon a demon into a new host, like we had with our previous Aliexpress graphics card. Hey! It's just output a signal. That is a pretty good start. And after a quick DDU wipe, the driver install off of AMD's website installed without the need of any form of seance. It just kinda worked, which is awesome. So let's try and do some gaming on this surprising card. Would you look at that? We've got some high performance GTA 5 action happening here. This is a 1080p with pretty much everything cranked in terms of settings. Yeah, I mean, this is looking really good. That power draw is impressive. That is actually a suspiciously low power draw. I don't think the 5700 XT is a very frugal graphics card in terms of power usage, so I think this AliExpress card may be fibbing a little bit, especially considering that I tried to read the fan speed earlier and it said there was 0% fan speed, but the fans were definitely spinning. So we'll drop the reference GPU in here later and see how its power draw and performance compares. But first, let's try a more demanding game. This is running at 1080p high settings, the same settings for Battlefield 5 that I used in the last couple of videos. And this may be a relatively bare map in terms of foliage and stuff, so it's not super demanding. But when I did the standardized benchmark for this graphics card, we were getting very similar results to the RTX 3060 that I bought the other day, which cost a whole lot more money than I paid for this 5700 XT. And yeah, Battlefield 5 loving AMD booty and all that, but we're bouncing off the frame rate limiter. It's awesome. It is very audible. You can definitely hear the graphics card whining, but the temperatures are pretty solid for a 5700 XT, so you should be able to play with the fan speed of it. Yeah, okay, so the temperatures have kind of topped out at about 72. It did occasionally creep up to like 75 degrees Celsius, but yeah, that's with very low fan speeds, right? And the cooler definitely has a lot more headroom in it. Let's try Cyberpunk and see what that does before we drop in the reference 5700 XT to see how it compares. Wow, even Cyberpunk at 1080p high settings is running well. We're sitting in the 70 frames per second, which I feel like is a very good point for Cyberpunk to be. It's where the game feels you know, about as responsive as Cyberpunk can feel. I'm still convinced the graphics card's lying about the power draw though, so let's drop the reference 5700 XT in here and see how they compare. Okay, so it's pretty clear that other card's lying, because we are getting about the same boost frequency, about the same frame rate, slightly higher temperatures, I guess the same temperatures, although this blower style card is noisier, and it's actually got worse coil whine. This reference 5700 XT has some of the worst coil whine of any graphics card I've tested before. It's real bad. Anyway, it's got very similar parameters to its running, but it draws up to about 187 watts, which I think is a bit more than up to 130 watts, but at least performance-wise, they are running very similarly. And finally, pricing-wise, when all is said and done, that means including tax and shipping, I paid a total of 240 Canadian dollars for this Aliexpress RTX 5700 XT. Which, considering that you get a thyroid disorder included, that's a whole lot of graphics card for the money. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one, and maybe consider watching another video. A suggestion will pop up in a second. And until the next video, bye-bye.